Okay, and we're back. Sorry about that, everybody. We had some technical difficulties there. We're having some weather. We're having some weather right now. I know you are. I know I'm in. We're not far from each other, but we're. I know it was storming crazy here.
Yeah, I haven't actually seen anything like radar wise. So
Well, I know it could be mine on my end. Anyways, you were
yeah.
saying right before you just got cut off, we were talking about um disinformation, and you gave the idea of freedom versus security, and you gave both extreme options of that, which were one, you are in a prison and you have everything taken care of you, but you have all the security in the world. Technically, obviously, people probably
Yeah.
there are people that might take that very literally, but I get what your analogy is. Everything is taken care of for you there, but you have no freedom.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side, you're in the wilderness and you've got all the freedom in the world to do whatever you so desire, but it's all on you and you have no security besides whatever you can provide. And right as I was saying was, it's funny. I'm glad you did both analogies, and most people want to fall somewhere in the middle,
Yeah.
and they don't want too much of either taken away. Mainly on the freedom side, I think that's a very American quality of we don't want our freedoms encroached. Oh, that's
Yeah.
just encroached on.
Encroached upon. Yeah.
Encroached upon. That sounds good.
Yeah.
But go on and elaborate a little bit more on that. I'm curious more.
I mean, well, it's always going to be kind of something that we're all going to have to deal with, and that's one of the biggest things. Which I think, again, as little as I do watch the media, that's all I hear about.
Yeah.
And that's because, of course, we still run into the issue of freedom of speech and what people can say versus considering the concept of hate speech, which I'm not a huge fan of. I don't like the idea as it is,
I agree.
and that doesn't mean that I agree that it's real. I don't think it's not real either, but it's kind of somewhere in the middle. But regardless, and people can have their own opinions on it, but hate speech is free speech, no matter what way you slice it. And I
Right.
find that kind of interesting because, of course, people are more secure without it. But when you put into effect the fact that you want to say whatever you want to say, you have to include that for everybody.
Yes.
Everybody who's protected by those freedoms.
Yes. Even when you disagree with them, you've gotta, yes, because then you're toting a very, very, very thin line of, okay, so if we oppress that, what is next that's going to be oppressed? And
Yeah.
it's very simple. I don't condone it. I don't think anybody condones it,
I don't think anyone should.
and no one should. But at the same time, you're right. You have to allow that shitty side of the freedom to exist so that the flourishing side of the freedom can flourish and be what
Yeah.
it is. Because it truly is a great place we live in where we can say anything we want.
Yeah.
With
I mean,
minor consequences. And that's the other thing, is it comes down to the person. I mean, if they want to say something nasty and be racist, in my opinion, it's not, it's our place to say, like, hey, I wouldn't say that anymore. But if they're going to keep doing it, then it's on them. And they've got to be accountable enough to accept the consequences that come with that. If their job sees it and they get fired for it, then that's, the job has just as much of a right to fire you for that as anything else. And vice versa. If you say something that might be super left that someone disagrees with, and the company doesn't want that rep either, the company might just want to be in the middle, and they don't want either side. And they have a right
Yeah.
to not want either side in their company. And vice versa. It's such a small line to walk. And it's so hard because, and I also feel like the way it gets labeled very easily is like, oh, you're for hate speech, you're a racist, you're a bigot. And it's like, no, I hate all that shit. I hate all of it. I'm just for the fact that it's a freedom of speech. It's all it is. It's the fact that you can tell that person they suck for saying that, and they can say something racist, and then you can go, hey, that's fucked up. I mean, what if it was flipped around and you couldn't say you couldn't say anything back to them? That'd be horrible. Think
It would
about it.
be.
Like that'd be horrible. Um, yeah, I just think it's a very perplexing issue, and we're watching our very young democracy of 200 something years figure it out. Um, and we
We're getting
are
close
like
to the
one
250 mark. Yeah.
we're like one big um experiment going on of freedom of speech and being one of the first nations to have all of this stuff that no one else has.
I
And
mean,
it's
yeah,
just now we're living in the era of it. Just now it's like, okay, it's just unfolding.
yeah, like it's something I appreciate having. I like the ability. Like I'm a very inclusive person. I respect everybody's ideas. Even if I don't necessarily agree, and even if they can't back up their opinions, it's I love the fact that people are allowed to have opinions that differ from my own. Because of course, in that situation, that's how you learn.
Yeah, I mean that's what made us so great, I think, was that there were so many opinions and so many perspectives that we all came together from those and formed something and formed a law and formed an opinion. And then now we're just gone way too overboard of my opinion and my opinion only, and it's like, no, it's the opposite. It's be calm, keep your mind open, have your opinion, be open to others' opinions, be open just to hearing the other opinion. I mean, that's the first step, is just hearing it. Like,
Yeah.
I've had so many talks with very, very liberal friends. I've had talks with very, very Republican friends because I consider myself in the middle. So there's a little bit on each side that I'm like, it's not get too crazy here. But and they, luckily they are very thoughtful people and they hear me out as well. And we've had very intellectual conversations, which I truly love. I think that's the best thing. To you walk away from a dinner or anything, and you have an intellectual conversation with someone, you're like, damn, my whole day is now like, I'm thinking about everything the rest of my day. I'm like, this has been a good day, and now I've got a new perspective, and now I'm thinking about things in this new perspective, and I feel great. And instead of like walking away like, oh my God, I can't believe they would say something like that, and then getting just all worked up, and then your day goes to shit because of it. It's that's my take on it, really.
Yeah.
I think the open mindedness is what seems to have faded away. Freedom of speech, I think, is still there, although it seems like there's people coming for it. But the open mindedness seems to be more closed than anything, because it's like the two sides can't even come together.
Yeah.
They can't even think,
I mean that
they can't even put themselves in the other person's shoes anymore.
we have become such a polarized society as like in especially in, well it's come more into fruition since 2008. Like everything has started kind of coming down and just like I mean, but then again it's mostly because we're starting to have conversations that we need to have. The issue is though is that some people just refuse to budge on their opinions. It's you got to be of course adaptable and work with people or else it's all going to keep going downhill.
Right. And that goes for both sides. I think that's what's, to me, is even more oblivious, being in the middle. Or I shouldn't say oblivious, I should say obvious. Somebody in the middle is that it's really not one side that's fucking up. It's really both sides that are really just throwing the shit at each other, and both of them are crying like babies.
Yeah.
This side and this side said this and this side said that, and how did they think that? And it's like, how do they think it? I'll give you 5 reasons, and then I give them 5, and they're like, "Oh, that's preposterous." And it's like, I'll give you 5 reasons why you think what you're thinking is right. It's like sitting in the middle is like, you just see both sides getting angry, and then you're caught in the middle, and they're like, "Well, whose side are you on?" And you're like, "Fucking no one's. I don't want to be on anybody's side right now. This is ridiculous." And it's just both are being big babies, and then they come together being babies and nothing gets done, rather than being adults and getting stuff done.
Yeah. No, it's how it's going to continue to be. Probably until I think our generation moves in, because given as possibly even the younger generations like below us.
Okay.
because they've grown up seeing everything that's happening. And I'm like, as a younger kid, I doubt they're having a good time with it.
Yeah, I think you
So
definitely see when you start to see the young. That's a good point. Like I feel like Gen Z or whatever is growing up, and now they're seeing like our generation, or I don't even the millennials, fighting the baby boomers, and they're like they're hearing both sides. They've got their dad and mom that are on one side, and they've got their older sister and brother on the other side, and they're hearing both sides, and they're kind of just sitting back, like absorbing it, and just like, all right, that's a good point. Oh, that's really shitty. That was a good point there, though. I don't like that. And then they just, who knows? Maybe Gen Z will be the one to get us out. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know how hopeful I am with that, considering they have 5-second attention spans. But maybe within that 5 seconds, they could come up with something really good. Oh my gosh. All I know is they run TikTok, and China runs TikTok, so I guess China runs it.
yeah, kind of. I have my own opinions on China, but they're not.
If United States of America doesn't get their act together, we're gonna
We're all
lose.
gonna be speaking Chinese.
China will for sure be number one. Not saying there's anything wrong with that, although I'm not a fan of it. But, and I don't think a lot of people would be a fan of it. I really don't. They got no freedom of speech over there. Let's keep what we got going here. But if we don't get our act together and come together as a country, there is a 0% chance of fighting that monster. Because they're playing very much the long term, and we're playing a short term game of bickering every 4 years.
I mean, yeah. Well, I think we are strong enough to. As far as I've seen, the vast majority of people do not want something similar to what China has. There are definitely a lot of people that I've seen, and of course, like being still a college student, I mean, college students kind of go for the ideas of having a different type of government, either whether that be socialist or communist or continue to be capitalist. But I feel as though there's a narrow mind that people like that share, and I've kind of realized this. And speaking of course, the political sides, I don't know if you've kind of thought about it like this, or heard this, but if you've ever realized, the right side is very individualistic, whereas the left side is very socialistic.
Yes, it's very noticeable. Yes, there's a lot more about me. I'm going to succeed, and I'm going to do this and that, and on the right. And personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And then on the same side, you have, on the other side, you have a more as we're in this together. Let's fight this together, or whatever, whatever it may be. And at the same sense, I totally see that as well. I mean, we both grew up, religious, and that's a big part of that. That's a big part that I've taken away from it is to help your neighbor and to help that. And yeah, there's got to be. Yeah, I really do feel like both sides have very valid points. I mean,
really, I guess I may have said it kind of weird, because I kind of understand what you're saying. But there's like a little correction I would like to make.
Go.
Rather than being individualistic, I more intended to mean that the responsibility of one's own, I guess successes is dependent upon.
I know where you're going with this. But, so, okay, 100% agree. Now that is where I think, yes, I 100% agree with that wording 1,000%. I am all for helping everybody.
Oh yeah. But, see, I would like the responsibility of from myself to give to others, rather than, of course, expecting everybody else to expect that of me. If that makes sense.
Yes. What I was going on was, I am all for helping in helping others and helping
Yeah.
everybody. But what I do not like is helping people that
Expect to be helped.
I guess in a sense expected, or I was really going to say don't acknowledge what has gotten them to the point where they're at. I mean, there's no accountability. There's no what I don't know what else there is to say about it. I mean, I would help. Let's put it this: I could lend somebody money. I could lend them money. I could lend them $1,000. I could lend them $2,000. I could lend them $3,000. But there becomes a point where that person then thinks like, well, they're just going to keep lending me money. They're just going to keep letting me do this. You know, and you being the nice person you want to be, say to them, hey, you know, I'm going to give you the $1,000. I know you need it. I know you need the help. But, you know, you need to think about how you got to this point where you needed my help, right? I have no problem helping, but you need to analyze yourself. Obviously, that's how we think. We're like, we don't want you to be dependent on me forever. But I'm gladly to help you right now. But then there comes a fine line when that person starts to take advantage of it, or they don't change the situation.
Yeah.
And that is where, correct. And that's where I think it's so hard. I think there's a lot of people on the right and left that have that mindset, but they're not talked about. Right now, all that's talked about in the news is the right extreme of I'm all for me and only me and I fucking hate everybody else. And then there's the left side that's like I'm for everybody and everybody should pay and the rich should, you know, eat shit and blah, 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 blah. And
everybody should be the same.
Correct. And they think there's a vast majority in the middle that feel underrepresented in the fact that what I just said is they want a level of accountability and self-responsibility, but they're more than willing to help anybody out when you show that.
Yeah.
I can think of like people that I know that when they're working hard, they're putting in the time, they're putting in the effort, and you look at them and go, I can't be mad. Or you want to spoil the death out of them and do your friend a favor. Hey, man, you've been working your ass off the last 6 months. Like, dinner's on me tonight. Drinks are on me tonight. Have a good time for once. Money's tight maybe with them, you know? I fully believe that. When someone's putting in, when I see somebody in my life putting in that work, because there's a lot of bullshit you could say. There's a lot of stuff you can just say that just, I can't. There's so much. It's so easy to say I can't. It's so easy. I've been there. It's so easy. Yeah. But when you don't and you see somebody put in that work, at least for me, I'm like, I'll do what? Let's do it. Like, I got you. I'm here to help. Let's go. Like you're grinding away and I'm here to help. I'm here for whatever. I'm 100%. I'm investing in you because you're investing hard in yourself.
It's an incredibly powerful statement. You're right, and I couldn't agree with you more, honestly. The people that take the time and take the responsibility and acknowledge that where they are in life is their choosing and choose to change it if they're down on their luck. Those are probably the strongest people I've ever seen, ever heard of.
Yeah, and truth be told, I won't negate the fact that sometimes there are issues that occur that do put a burden way bigger. There are 1,000 circumstances that can happen where it can be very bad, and it is hard at the time to pull yourself up, or whatever. The list goes on, and there really are exceptions. But what we can't do is give exceptions for everything across the board when the person themselves isn't acknowledging that they're, whatever the issue is. I mean, because you can have an issue, right? You can.
Yeah.
I've been depressed before. Okay. I think everybody's gone through it. I think, and sometimes you might go through it again. You never know. But I can remember being down about it. I remember the world fucking sucking for a year or whatever. I can't. Yeah, a year, and it was horrible, and it sucked, and it sucked. But then finally, I got to a point where I was like, "This can keep sucking, or maybe there's something more I can do." And I started, listen to comedy bits to make me laugh, reading on stuff to do make you happy, getting more sun, exercising, whatever. And slowly but surely, work and work and work. Next thing you know, I was like, I'm just living life right now. I'm pretty happy. I'm content. I got no idea. I remember that last person. And you take that lesson and you learn from yourself about, I look back at when I was depressed and stuff, and I look up at that, and I'm like, I learned more about myself in that year, looking back, than I've ever have in my life. But I didn't let it, I didn't let that year define me as a person. I don't continue my life and go, oh, yeah, well, when I was, like something happened, I'm like, oh, now, and again, I'm not going to negate it. There are definitely people out there that chemically do have an imbalance. And that's a totally different discussion. That's a totally different discussion.
Yeah.
Some people need to learn how to manage it. Some people have it so severe that they need help. Again, I'm not denying that. There are people that need help. There are some that are stronger minded as well. There's both sides of the spectrum. Most people fall in the middle, but they think they're on the bad side because they can't figure out how to get out of it.
Yeah. It's kind of how it is. And it requires you to actually take a step back and look really hard at what's going on. And I think that's one thing that a lot of people feel is either they don't have time to do, or that they don't want to know what is actually going on and actually acknowledge it.
Yeah, that's just. I've said it before on the podcast, and I will absolutely say it again and share my experience. I've always advised friends. I think I've advised you this at times. I've advised it to everybody I can think of on the planet. When something goes wrong that you weren't expecting, or maybe you made a decision and it goes horribly wrong and shit sucks, you have two ways to handle it. You either push it to the side as long as possible. I don't care what I'm not necessarily saying drinking and drugs. That's usually the route people go. They drink all the time. They do drugs. They
numb it.
They just numb it. Right. Or you let it suck for however long it takes. And sure, maybe you have a drink here and there with some friends. You don't go crazy. You're not trying to numb it. You go casually. And you take the time to reflect on yourself. I cannot emphasize enough to people the power of learning yourself and what it can do for you as a person and for your future.
Yeah.
It's undeniably the most important thing. And I truly believe that I did it younger than most people. And I truly think that has helped me develop as a person far greater than any inspirational quote, movie, YouTube video.
Yeah.
And all those are great. Trust me, if you need that to help you get out, do it. That's a little boost you might need to go learn about yourself. But learning yourself and taking the time. I think when I had my rough patch, I took 6 months of just chilling and learning about myself. I used to go out to the beach, and I would want to go with people, so I would invite people. I would say, I'm going out at this time. If you come, you come.
Yeah.
And then I would just sit and chill, and if someone came, they came, and if not, I just hung and just thought to myself. It's just the power to it I can't describe. And it hits you out of the blue one day when you've done enough self-assessing and learning. Like all of a sudden you just look around and you're like, I'm pretty content right now. And you almost just giggle. You're like, yeah, shit was bad there for a minute, but we're back.
I
So
wouldn't even consider that to be content. That's not. You're above that at that point.
you're definitely at peace and
You're
happy with
positive.
yourself. You're absolutely
You're
positive.
net positive.
It's
We'll go with
something.
that.
Yeah. It's something. Again, it doesn't mean you have to be the greatest person in the world and you're like every day's great, amazing. I love it here. Like it does. But you wake up and you're like, this ain't bad. Like
Yeah.
this is pretty good. And it's funny how things happen and you look back and you see things and like, oh, like and there's some stuff that happens you don't even think it's a big or a relevant thing, and then you're like, you observe it one day and you're like, holy shit, like I didn't realize that. Like
Yeah.
like take COVID, bro. COVID. Okay, those 14 days by myself, you know my situation. Life
Yeah.
hit me like a ton of bricks when I was by myself for 14 days. I was a wreck for the first 3. I had like 3 days of like, I think I'm doing better. And then I had like another week of just absolute shit. And at the end of it, and we tested negative and all that stuff. Actually, I didn't. My company said as long as I'm 72 hours symptoms free, I was good, and I was symptom free for 6 days.
Okay.
So, and I've been feeling great. So, anyways, I digress. But I remember at the end of the 14 days, I was just so excited to talk to people in person. I had plans for the first time in 2 weeks. And I remember just being like, I gotta go. Like, I gotta go. I remember texting my buddy and I was like, what are you doing? And he was like, yeah, we're going here, but I'll see if you can come. And I was like, yo, well, please. And then I called him like a week later and we caught up and he was like, dude, you seem so excited about going, like, just going to hang with us. And I was like, dude, I was. Like, I didn't even hesitate. I was like, bro, I fucking was. He was like, why? And I was like, dude, I spent 14 days by myself with no contact with people. Like, nothing. And I FaceTime a few, text some, but like, nah, it's not the same.
It's again, like it's those things that people, of course, like I'm very different from you. I've been in quarantining for a month now, and of course, like I mean, given you and I are also very different, like I can do well with that because of course, like this conversation that we're having right now, this works really well for me. Like because I see this as no different as if we're in the same studio.
Yeah, well, I mean, truth be told, again, I had 2 other things in life hit me in the face at the same time, right when I got sick. So I was like,
that was.
I wasn't really reaching out to anybody. I wasn't. When I said I spent 14 days by myself, I truly only saw my parents. And I was just like, and I would text people. I didn't go out of my way to call anybody. No one really called me. You know, a few people checking in, texting, you good? Yeah. Okay. Done. You know, but yeah. I mean, trust me, I could have, but I wasn't in no way, shape, or form really trying to be out there.
Yeah.
But when it ended, I was like, I gotta go talk to people in person. And it's something like that I look back on. I was like, dang, you know, I never really took that. I took that for granted, like just being able to talk to friends in person, like going out to eat, going to have a beer. Really took that for granted. Yeah. I enjoy it. I enjoy it now. Just small stuff like that. Just hanging out by the pool, doing nothing, just chilling. I'm like, this is nice. I couldn't do this. For a while.
I mean, yeah, it's something that like, and it sucks for the people that still have to do it. I'm really really glad that you got through what you were getting through, and of course, like with the whole situation, it was just bad timing for the entire thing.
Yeah, which we won't talk about on here.
Yeah,
not yet.
Yeah,
shit,
no, that's good.
Shit's still fresh. But me and you could talk another time. But yes, yeah, just an unfortunate turn of events. This is the best way to say it. But lesson nonetheless is my point. You know, it's just again, it's something you look back on. You're like, all right, it helped. Something different.
I mean, yeah.
But yeah. So how's your 30 days? You're going a long time. I know we talked about that at the beginning, but
yeah, we're bringing it full circle.
We're going full circle. I did by accident. I wasn't trying to get off. Wasn't trying to get off the topic we were talking about. Of account.
That's fine. We moved fast. I think we talked about our other topics as much as we could. But yeah, 30 days it's interesting. I mean, I work full time, so that like 8 hours of my day is dedicated to working. So I mean, that only leaves an extra 16, and half of that goes to sleep.
I see, that's a pretty big difference too. I didn't have
Yeah,
nothing to do. I had
yeah.
nothing, nothing. Like, there's no. I couldn't work from home, not with my job, so that wasn't an option. It was like, okay, well, you're gonna go on disability for 2 weeks or longer if you need it, and that's it. That's it.
I mean that's kind of how it is. Um, but yeah, I am definitely a more social person, being as though like I don't really know. I love meeting people. I was an orientation leader, for God's sake. Like I I was paid
To
to
meet
meet
people.
people. but at the same time, it was more of just that it's something I enjoy doing. Bringing if I can get a smile out of a new face, that is a lot for me.
Yeah,
So of
yeah,
course, like even with my job, like working, like doing what I do with IT and tech support, like that that's a big thing when somebody actually sounds excited, even over the phone. Like it's a really big success for me. So like riding those highs, like sticking to what I know is something that makes me happy. 30 days it has not felt like it. And again, like I also get the opportunity to see my girlfriend. I see my family every once in a while, but like of course I stay masked up when I'm around them. Um, but yeah, it's not horrible for me. But again, like of course, video calls are good for me. Like that's good enough because of course not everybody can go everywhere at this
yeah.
time, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah,
everybody's limited.
I agree. That video calls probably would have been a good idea for me, and I just didn't do them. It's a
Yeah,
totally
it's
different
fine.
scenario, but yeah. Is your brother in Atlanta still, or is he in?
He went
Is he
back,
back?
yeah.
Okay, he went back to Atlanta. Did he? Has he said anything? Has he seen any crazy stuff going on in the city or anything like that? Any reports back?
He is not. I mean, he also works from home, so he's pretty much chilling in a like an apartment on a 23rd story. So he's like high above the action.
He doesn't ever look down on it. Doesn't watch anything going on.
He doesn't. He's not really super big on going outside. he's
Oh,
he's
love him to
he's going
death.
out meeting some people, but like he's it, as long as like he typically tells me about things like that,
Right,
and
right.
I don't think there's been anything major, else I probably would have heard about it.
Yeah, there's nothing crazy major going on anywhere. I mean, here they just reclosed the bars. What I think they had to.
It kind of did. It
Dude,
was
dude,
you
that
can't.
Friday, when the bars opened that Friday, the bars and clubs opened that Friday. I swear, and it was 50% capacity. It was what they said, 50%.
Yeah,
That it was packed everywhere.
yeah,
Every Snap story I saw that night was at a bar, and it was looked crowded.
yeah. It makes sense. It's well, everybody and my girlfriend's brought this up to me, and I I bet you're probably feeling this similar way. It We've been dealing with this since March now. Like
Right.
it's been almost 4 full months of quarantining, being away from people. When bars opened back up, people just wanted to feel normal, and
Yeah.
I definitely understand that. Yeah, no, that's it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
like my girlfriend tells me a story about like how like a couple weeks ago she got the chance to go out and be around people, and like they social distance, but at the same time they weren't required to wear masks.
Right.
And like some of them still did, but at the same time, like they got the opportunity to have a cocktail hour with other people, like in as far as I'm aware, a ballroom, basically.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right.
Don't really ask about those details, but she like whenever like and I of course like I'm a very big supporter of just wearing a mask everywhere.
Yeah, as we
And
both
of
said
course like I was giving her
earlier.
shit for it, like because like it's like okay like yes, but you also have to understand like my family's at high risk, your family's high risk, and she knows. So
Yeah.
like I wasn't upset by it. And she's careful, but at the same time, like she didn't think about it for a little bit, and that was because all she really wanted to do was feel normal again. And I completely agree with her. I think I'm glad she did what she did, even if I don't 100% agree.
Right.
So I think she needed it, and I agree with that.
It's very respectable. I think, again, you talk about opinions. I think that's, and the other thing is here it's not prohibited to go out, so it's like no one's breaking the law. Like here in Florida, they've left it completely up to people. If you want to go out to a restaurant, you can go, and if you don't, we're gonna keep them at 50% capacity or whatever. But like,
and now we got the mandate that you have to wear a mask indoors.
Yeah, if you're going, like, I went to a restaurant today, and it was wear your mask till you get to the table, sit down, everyone's 6 feet apart, and you're sitting with people and then you get up, you wear a mask. I'm okay with that. I ain't no problem with that. I do hate, however, that I forget my mask almost every time I get out of my car.
Keep one in your car.
I know I do, but I mean, like, I'll bring it. I bring it everywhere with me, and I have extra in the car. But I mean, like, I'll go in, like today I filled up the gas, and I was like, I run the restroom and go walk in Pickwick, and I see the sign as I'm opening the door. The sign, please wear a mask. I'm like, I left it in the car, and I have to turn back around and go get it, and then go back in. And then today, same thing at dinner. I'm walking up, and I'm halfway there, and I look at my hands. I'm like, the stupid mask I left in the car again. And I'm back to the car I go, and grab the mask. It's something that's, I think, everybody can relate to. We all kind of forget it. I mean, I bring it to work, but then after that, I forget it everywhere else I go. I'm like, fuck. So.
Yeah, no, I know. With my girlfriend, it's she will wear the regular style mask at work.
Yeah.
But when she gets off work, she starts wearing a buff, like the fishing buffs, because like
Okay.
I mean they're pretty good at kind of keeping it away, and like I mean they're not as effective as like surgical masks technically, but like they work. So like it's still a reduction.
Yeah.
So of course she just leaves it around her neck, and it's comfortable. So she technically never forgets it. And I have masks that like you tie around the back of your head, but at the same time, like when I pull that off when I don't need to wear it, it's just chills around my neck until I get home.
I saw these copper masks that they have now. Copper masks. It reminds me of those things those athletes used to wear, but copper sleeve for healing.
Oh.
But they got a copper mask, like it's got copper in it, and it's supposed to be more breathable than other masks. That's like the big advertisement. I don't know. I'm gonna ask one of the guys we bought him. I'm gonna see what he says. I'll report back. But that's the big thing apparently. And they got copper masks you can breathe out of. It was like $7 a mask.
That
he bought two for $14. You can buy a pack of 30 for like 20. You can buy a pack of 50 for like $30. Now those don't have copper in them though.
No. No, I can't. Oh my God. I've gotten to that point where I can't do the regular masks anymore. Just like it just feels weird to me now.
Like the little doctor ones?
Yeah, like the ones that just go around your ears and the neck.
That's what I
like. I have to have the ones that like tie behind. Every mask I wear is cloth. I don't know if I have any around me. Actually, yeah. So, buff. And then this was a mask that my family made. So of course, like all cloth. And then in the top, you got the little pipe cleaner that like molds around your nose. So.
There you go. Nice. Hey man, we've done like an hour, and I actually would love to keep talking, but I have to get going.
Oh yeah.
I've got an hour drive down to my area of work for tomorrow, so I'm gonna do it tonight. But dude, appreciate you coming on. I'm so glad this worked out this time for the audio. I felt like we could have talked for another 2.5 hours, so plan again. We'll do another one at some point.
All right,
Trevor.
Let's do it.
Peace, dude.
Hey, Jake.